curiosity. Despite its thriving economy and sizable population, Ethiopia has a major obstacle. It has no direct access to the shore. In order to increase the country's economic and commercial potential, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his administration recognize the critical need of creating a direct maritime connection. In the context of regional geopolitics, the search for an appropriate port has arisen as a crucial feature amidst the addressing of complex internal dynamics and the pursuit of foreign solutions. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has placed a premium on Ethiopian and Somali cooperation, and the Ethiopia's recent preparations for joining the BRICS group demonstrate this priority. Ethiopia is expected to have 129 million people by 2025, whereas Somalia's population of 17 million is by far one of the smallest in Africa countries. There is now quantifiable evidence of the economic consequences of using ports that are owned by other countries. Using a port in a foreign country comes with recurring charges, which drives up the price of imports and regular business. These supplemental costs have an outsized impact on the economy as a whole, permeating fields as diverse as agriculture and industry. There is opportunity for improvement in the complex process of international and multimodal transportation. The accumulation of these expenses dampens economic growth as a whole. Keeping Ethiopia's ports open and unimpeded is crucial because of the country's susceptibility to transportation interruptions as a result of past conflicts. If a country relies too much on one transportation corridor, it leaves itself vulnerable to disruptions caused by political tensions, border conflicts, or changes in the policies of surrounding states. Therefore, increasing access to the sea is crucial for political and economic reasons. Protecting a port that can function without outside help is crucial. An achievement of this magnitude has the potential to strengthen the economy and stability of the nation. Ethiopia is actively pursuing partnerships and infrastructure development in order to overcome the difficulties presented by its landlocked location. Ethiopia is at a pivotal juncture when it must balance its own national interests with those of its neighbors while also working to end decades-long conflict. The latest words of Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed about ongoing negotiations with neighboring Somalia provide a glimpse into Ethiopia's diverse approach to resolving complicated geopolitical challenges. Since Ethiopia already has access to the ports in Djibouti, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's comment that Ethiopia would not hesitate to use force if any neighboring countries denied peaceful access to ports appears to be geared at Eritrea and Somalia. This warning was toward the neighboring countries. Ethiopia's cooperation with the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to build ports like Berbera and Garaad in Somalia is further evidence of the country's commitment to ensuring dependable marine access. Ethiopia is making these efforts to show it is serious about overcoming the difficulties its landlocked location presents. These efforts are strategically important as prospective maritime routes because of Somalia's large coastline. The goals of the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, a group of growing economies, are aligned with these port projects, giving them relevance beyond national concerns. These countries want Somalia to become a free trade hub so they can take advantage of the country's long coastline for marine trade. As a potential buffer against unfavorable outcomes, Ethiopia's membership in BRICS would provide it with access to significant financial resources and the support of prominent states. The United States' efforts in Somalia, especially those aimed at bringing back peace and order in the wake of the Civil War, have run into difficulties. A peaceful and prosperous Horn of Africa is within reach, thanks to Ethiopia's possible participation in the BRICS. Ethiopia's membership in BRICS, coupled with its growing importance as a commercial hub, might help the region overcome its troubled past and move confidently towards a prosperous future. Beyond Ethiopia, this development may have ramifications for the rest of East Africa. Ethiopia and Somalia relationship has been characterized by years of struggle and tension, most notably the Ogaden War that took place during Prime Minister Meles Zenawi's rule. Since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed took office, however, the trend has changed for the better. Abiy Ahmed's government has taken a more positive tack toward bilateral relations with Somalia in an effort to use the country's shared history of hardship into opportunities for prosperity. Economic cooperation and regional stability will benefit greatly from Somalia's current focus on upgrading port infrastructure, especially at Berbera and Garaad, Somalia. Ethiopia's long-term plan involves capitalizing on Somalia's vast coastline to become a major commerce center in the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia and Somalia have had a tumultuous past together. The Ogaden War in 1977 was one of the events that made their relationship even worse. In 2018, a very important year, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed went on a trip that changed history. His trip to Somalia was a big deal because it was the first time a high-level Ethiopian leader had been there in 40 years. This meeting was a sign that Ethiopia wanted to change its diplomatic strategy and work for peace, partnerships, and cooperation. In the midst of these changes, a bigger story is being told on the world stage. Russia and China, which are both important members of the BRICS group, have put Ethiopia in their circle on purpose. By adding Ethiopia to BRICS, these countries hope to take advantage of Somalia's long shoreline, which is an important sea route connecting the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. This route is a way for things to get from all over the world to Europe. It is a lifeline that the whole world depends on. At the same time, the United States keeps a position in Somalia, which has always been under its watchful eye. This includes the U.S. trying to train the Somali army, which shows how much the country's stability and future are important to the U.S. In the meantime, Russia and China have worked with Ethiopia and the UAE to build important facilities, such as the Berbera Port Somalia. Even though these projects seem to be good, they raise questions about their motivations and how they will affect the way things work in the area. As the story goes on, a complicated web of geopolitical maneuvering and power relationships becomes clear. The appeal of BRICS is a double-edged sword because it offers chances for development, but also raises concerns about neocolonialism and the use of African resources by outside forces. This new kind of African slavery happens when countries use each other's goals to increase their own global power. In the middle of all these complicated stories is an important question. Is Ethiopia's move toward democracy really taking hold? People's hopes for real change and the sounds of past protests can still be heard. Even though promises have been made, the full realization of democratic ideas seems far away, leaving protesters waiting. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's focus has often been on international issues, which have helped bring Ethiopia to the world stage. Even though the country has its own problems, the core of its government is still being worked. Will the spark of political enthusiasm catch fire and show Ethiopia the way to real representation and accountability? And the partnership with BRICS is a big part of this complex web of relationships. Will Ethiopia's relationship with this group help things get better, or will it accidentally make things worse? As the world watches, only time will tell what will happen. In time, we will learn more about the future of Ethiopia's democracy, the chances of regional security, and the role of BRICS in this complicated situation. As a result of these changes, a web of questions starts to form, and each thread holds the promise of important solutions. Will Somalia rethink its role in the unfolding story now that the waves are changing? Will Ethiopia's goals take it into new territory, which could lead to conflict? There are a lot of unknowns on the future, which calls for clarity. Will the pieces on this global chessboard stay where they are, or will the complicated way that different interests interact lead to unexpected results? As we move through these uncharted areas, time is the only real way to find out what will happen. Even though the wait is unclear, it shows how hard and important the situation is. So, we watch, wait, and look forward to how a story that could change not only two countries, but an entire area plays out. And as we wrap up, don't forget to join us on the Rise Africa Now channel for more talks and insights that will make you think. Good evening from Chicago, good morning from Nairobi, and good night from Lagos. Until we meet again, let's keep looking into how the story of Africa's rise has changed over time.